less, so I had to chase it back. Became a man without a dad. I ain't mad, I'm just sad.
That nigga still be alive right now if you niggas ain't gas him up.
Okay.
What the fuck is good, man? Back with another one. Klack in the building. Ty in the building.
Oh yeah, we here for another one.
You know what the fuck it is, man. We about to hit y'all with some new shit. We gonna do the reaction on my man, Mr. Ballin, bro. Shout out, man. We done checked out a couple of them. See what's good, man. We really fucking with the shit, so we decided to do a reaction to it, man. Shit. Happy late Thanksgiving, man. Sorry we missed y'all. You know, we was busy. Goddamn. Hope y'all had a good one. Hope everybody stays safe, man. I know y'all getting ready for this Christmas, though. You already know, man. About to be a new year. You know we gonna have new shit coming. That's why we already starting it a little early. You know what I mean?
We got a lot more coming.
Okay.
Look forward to the new year.
Yeah, man, we better get straight to it. We got Mr. Ballin, horrific accident caught on live TV. Mature audiences only, man. But you already know what it is when it comes to... Is that what I said? What would I say?
Horrific accident. I was just asking.
Yeah, horrific. Yeah.
Zane.
There's some new shit, man. We gonna see what... Let us know how y'all fucking with it, man. We better get straight to it, though. Goddamn. See what this man talking about.
The only way to do this story justice, in my opinion, is to include the graphic video footage. And so we have done that, so viewer discretion is advised. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once or twice every week. So if that's of interest to you, please ask the like button to play a very casual game of chess with you, and then proceed to beat them with the Fool's Mate. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on
shout out to the highs, man,
so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's story.
Hold on. This shit, man.
Yeah.
Emergency.
On January 27th, 1908, a 34-year-old handcuffed man walked out from behind the curtain to a cheering crowd inside of a theater in St. Louis, Missouri. This was going to be this man's first ever live performance, but he did not seem nervous. Next to this man on stage was this comically oversized milk can that was filled to the brim with water. Once the audience had stopped clapping and had calmed down and taken their seats, this man on stage turned to face this milk can and then climbed up this small ladder and then lowered himself feet first into this can, and as he did, his body displaced water from the can, causing it to spill over onto the stage. And then once almost all of his lower half was submerged in water and the audience could only see his face, this man looked over at his assistants in the wings of this theater and kind of gestured to them that he was ready to start. And so the assistants come running out into the middle of the stage and they immediately close the lid of this milk can over this guy, pushing his head down into the water. And so as the audience is gasping and collectively holding their breath, the assistants proceed to lock this lid with 6 different locks around the top, and then they wheeled over this cabinet.
Trying to be on some Houdini shit.
Out of view of the audience.
Who done
Anything like this before, and so immediately they all began murmuring and whispering to each other, wondering how this guy is going to survive what he's doing. But 2 minutes after that lid had been sealed, that 34-year-old man emerged from behind the cabinet with his hands open wide, so he wasn't handcuffed, totally unharmed. And then the cabinet was moved aside, and the audience could see the lid of this milk can was still locked. During his lifetime, nobody could ever figure out how the great magician Harry Houdini had escaped that milk can. These dangerous stunts made Harry extremely famous, and it's why Harry Hootencuffed totally on high is going to survive what he's doing. But 2 minutes after that lid had been sealed, that 34-year-old man emerged from behind the cabinet with his hands open wide, so he wasn't handcuffed, totally unharmed. And then the cabinet was moved aside, and the audience could see the lid of this milk can was still locked. During his lifetime, nobody could ever figure out how the great magician Harry Houdini had escaped that milk can. These dangerous stunts made Harry extremely famous, and it's why we still know him today, nearly 100 years after his death. But it wasn't just that he was able to successfully perform these stunts. It was his attitude while he performed these stunts that made him so notable. He really just came off as being totally fearless, that he was willing to do just about any stunt. But that wasn't actually true. There was one stunt that Harry was absolutely terrified of. Now,
There are 2,700 robocalls
Fucking ad, man.
made every
Goddamn.
second in the U.S.
Yeah, man.
You might have been on the receipt.
Skip that shit.
We need to be sponsored by Mike's Hard. We
Okay.
might watch that ad.
Okay.
And he had to be rescued by his assistants. And after that, he never tried it again. And for decades, nobody else tried it either. Because, I mean, if Harry Houdini can't perform this stunt, then certainly no one else can either.
Right.
But in 1990, a daring 32-year-old
That's
man,
gonna do
This
it.
is where the
Joe
motherfucker
Burris,
died.
decided he would be the person who would finally conquer this infamous stunt. Joe
I read
was a
his book.
small-time children's magician in Fresno, California, but deep down, he had always believed that someday he would be the next Harry Houdini. In fact, he would actually tell his family that not only
His
would
name
he
was
be
actually
the next Harry
Harry
Houdini,
Potter.
but he would be even better
wanna
than
be
Harry
the
Houdini.
next
And so that
magician.
year, he decided it was finally time to make that dream a reality. And so he saw performing this infamous stunt as a way to make that happen. So on Halloween night of that year, so October 31st, Joe, adorned in his white tuxedo, along with his 2 young sons and his parents, they arrive at Blackbeard's Family Fun Center, which was an amusement park in Fresno, California. The family hopped out
Yeah,
of the
this
white
one for the
limousine that
kids.
Joe had
Let's
arranged
get
to
in.
bring them there, and they began walking across the parking lot to this big crowd of people. And when this big crowd of people saw Joe walking towards them, they all began to cheer. Joe's stunt that he was about to perform that night had been very heavily advertised, mostly by Joe, and so it had become this spectacle in Fresno. It was going to be
That nigga still be alive right now if you niggas ain't gas him up.
Okay.
on TV while he was doing it, and it was going to be broadcast on a radio station. So after Joe and his family make it over to this big crowd, Joe walks to the front and he climbs up on this impromptu stage and he gives this impassioned speech to his audience about how he's going to be the one who takes on this stunt and becomes the next Harry Houdini. And then afterwards, he looks over at his assistants, all these guys that are around him, and he gestures to them that he's ready to begin.
Okay. That
And
bitch
so with
too
all these
late.
TV cameras rolling,
That
the
bitch had a
assistants walk
goddamn
up
head
to
like
Joe.
a fat ass.
Coach, we're gonna sneak you out. We're gonna sneak you out if you begin to panic.
Okay.
Like
but you ain't gotta panic.
And then this coffin
He's like,
was
I
lowered
forgot all
into
about
the
that
shit out. Hold
7-foot
on, check that shit
pre-dug
out.
hole
One
that was
back,
right
you know, I
nearby.
was
Once
talking.
Joe
Nah, you
put
good.
him inside
Nah,
of
check
the
this box out they was
plastic
putting him in.
coffin,
My fault.
And then this
Nah.
coffin was lowered into the 7-foot
Oh, yeah.
pre-dug hole that was right nearby.
So he
Once
getting buried
Joe
alive.
gave the signal that he was ready to go, they would fill this hole in, and the stunt that he would perform would be to escape being buried alive. Houdini had attempted this by being buried under 6 feet of dirt, and he had managed to get out of his coffin, but then he just could not get through the dirt and began to panic. And had it not been for his assistants literally reaching into the dirt and pulling him out, Houdini would have died. Joe, apparently, a year earlier, had attempted some sort of practice run of this stunt. It was not the full amount of dirt. It was some smaller amount of dirt, and he had managed to get out. And so he was really confident in himself. And so for this big televised event, he had decided to really up the ante and make sure it was clear he was not only as good as Houdini, but better than Houdini. And so he was going to have
Smells like
3 feet of
bullshit.
dirt put on his coffin
Pack
first,
that dirt. Fuck. And he
He
like,
ain't
wet
doing that
cement
shit.
put in on top of that. Many
Can't
people,
turn.
when they heard this plan, both the TV
Put
personalities,
cement on
the
top
radio
of that shit.
personalities, onlookers, and first, and then 4 feet of wet cement put in on top of
Bitch,
that.
they locked
Many
them
people,
in.
when they heard this plan, both the TV personalities, the radio personalities, onlookers, they said this was a terrible idea and you shouldn't do it. But Joe was extremely confident and brushed them off and said, I know what I'm doing.
You know, Houdini failed at this and he was only using dirt.
Once Joe was in his coffin at the bottom of this 7-foot hole, he looked up at his assistants standing over the grave waiting for a signal, and he gave it to them and kind of shouted up to them that he was ready. And so his team very excitedly
probably
began
would've been
shoveling
safer if he
dirt
stayed in
into
the
the
coffin.
hole. But after only a
He
couple of
probably
minutes,
was kind of
less than a
like
couple
on
of
some
feet
shit
had
like,
been
bitch,
put
I'm
into
too
the
far
hole,
in, I
they
gotta
heard
do it.
Joe yelling out from
Niggas gonna
inside
think
of the
I'm a
coffin.
pussy.
And so everything stopped, the staff jumped in, and they pulled the dirt out until they could finally get the lid of the coffin off. And they found Joe, he was alive, alive, but he was very shaken up, and he kind of sat up and said, yeah, the chain around my neck is too tight. You got to readjust the chain. Now, all these onlookers at this event, they heard Joe say this, and they saw him, and their read on this situation was not that his neck chain was too tight, but rather, it looks like Joe might have bitten off more than he can chew. That this stunt is way more dangerous, and maybe he's realizing that he's looking for excuses.
You turn for that shit. You want to get buried alive? First of all, that shit's hard as fuck. Most likely, you're not even gonna get out of a regular fucking coffin with your arms free under dirt. You feel me?
Yeah.
You want to do it in a plastic box.
Unless you got some goddamn
sealed,
teleportation trickery,
dirt,
you don't need to try to do that stunt.
Then submit. Your turn. Like, but you ain't got room to be doing shit with a pickaxe or a jackhammer or some crazy shit. The fuck you better do? Crawl out the other way? But that bitch say crab people. Crab people.
Shout out to South Boy.
Not do the stunt. And so the onlookers, they didn't try to egg him on to do it anyways. They started feeling apprehension too. And so everybody who was there began telling Joe, hey man, get out. Don't do this now. This is a really bad idea.
Should have been abandoned.
The chain's too tight. That's a sign.
After I would have been like,
I would have never been in that situation.
Nah, I'm saying after like, I would have been, bitch, I would have already been paranoid. That first time I got out and was like, fix my shit, I would have been like, nah, fuck that shit, bro. I'm sorry.
You seen that movie? I can't remember the name of it. It's somewhat new. But he got this damn little implant in his shit right there. He was so obsessed with doing magic. He got an implant in his arm and so he could damn move stuff. Ended up getting it juiced up. And he got damn. I ain't gonna say the
plot and shit.
Yeah, I ain't gonna give you no spoiler alert, but I can't even remember the name of the film.
If y'all know what the name of that shit is, comment below. That shit below, man.
The group that he was totally fine, that it was really just the neck chain that was the
but
only
that's the only
issue,
way you can do that stuff.
Put that chain back around his neck.
Right. You turn for that, man.
Fill it in. And so eventually his staff, taking cues from him, said,
he said crab people know the lizard people.
And they put it back in the coffin, they changed it back up again, they closed the lid, and once again he gave the signal that he was ready to start. And so a very apprehensive crowd watched.
I'm getting back in there.
They done filled the little spot there. They dug them up out. Like,
and poured 4 feet of wet
the rest
cement
of it
on top of the dirt.
Not even just a little bit, 4 feet.
Completely filled in.
What the fuck?
Onlookers, which included Joe's 2 young sons and his parents, they kind of moved in and got right up against this grave and were looking straight down at the top, waiting for Joe to come out again. But as they're watching this hole and as they're filming this hole, all of the cement in the hole suddenly drops about a foot. What had happened was the nearly 15,000 pounds of dirt and wet cement sitting on top of this coffin had finally caused the lid to break, and in an instant, all of the dirt and cement poured into the coffin, surrounding Joe completely. He was truly buried alive. Onlookers immediately jumped into action and did their best to try to dig Joe out, but it took them 30 minutes to finally reach him, and when they did, he was already dead. Joe had ironically died on the exact 64th anniversary of Houdini's death. After an investigation, it was determined that Joe had not tested the strength of his plastic coffin against the weight of the wet cement. He'd only tested it against dirt because that was the one he had done the year earlier. He had done it under dirt and it worked. Joe had also not taken into account that cement dries from the bottom up. So even if Joe had managed to get out of the coffin and make his way through the first 3 feet of dirt that was right on top of the coffin, he most likely would have been trapped under the hardened cement layer.
You realize that cement starts to harden first at a lower elevation, so it's going to be hard.
I'm telling you that.
It hardens at the lower part. I thought it started at the top. No, it hardens at the top. No. In fact, I shouldn't even kid. This is very serious. This is no magic trick.
This was a doomed mission from the start, but because Joe was so
it's no
confident
magic
in himself
trick. It's a
and his
suicide
ability to
mission,
do
bro.
the stunt, no one stopped him.
He thought Houdini was one of the great escape artists, and he wanted to be better than Houdini.
Right.
And he was close.
So that's
I'm sure
gonna
he
do,
went
guys.
hard, man.
If
He
you
could
found
try
the
to do
secret
too
in
much,
today's
man.
episode, let us know in the comments section what it is and where you found it. So give us the timestamp, and if you're the first to do
Rest in
that, we'll
peace,
pin you at the
Brody.
top of the comment
Yeah,
section.
facts, man.
If you
Rest in
got
peace,
something
bro.
out of
Shit
today's
crazy.
episode and you haven't done this already, please ask
I
the
wouldn't
like button to
encourage
play
them
a
to
very
do it,
casual
though.
game of chess with you, and then proceed to beat them with the Fool's Mate. Also,
You
please
know, he might
subscribe
have had
to
a
our
brother
channel and
there
turn
like,
on all
oh, no,
notifications
just do
so
it,
you don't
bro.
miss any of our weekly
Okay.
1 or 2
Doing
video
live
uploads.
TV.
We are now selling
Okay.
merchandise like
Hey,
flannels and
don't
hats
give
and
a
sweatshirts.
fuck. When they dropped the knowledge on him, they tried to educate the man and tell him they're gonna the cement hardens from the bottom up. So even if you escape that first time when they checked to see if you was out,
Right.
and you like, I'm almost out, you was probably couldn't even get through the cement then.
It's turned. They didn't even try to test it. Just said,
And then
I
you
think
got
I
away.
think I can do it.
And then you got buried, undug. You should have just said, bruh.
Most time you try tricks or anything or some stunts, you gonna try to do that shit. Usually, if it ain't one, or you're doing it right in front of the camera right now, here and now.
You got a penny or something?
You
bruh?
try to practice.
You got a penny or something? Let me show you something. This is as far as I'm going with magic. Let me show you something. You got a penny or a little piece of change. You feel me?
You better do a magic trick for the camera.
Yeah, for the video, for the channel. You feel me? 3 likes.
We'll show the camera.
Comment below what trick you think I'm about to do. All right. 1. On the count of 3, I'm gonna make this shit disappear. 1, 2, 3. Damn, this shit fucked up. It was supposed to go up my sleeve because I had stretched it a little bit. But 1, 2, 3. Where that bitch at?
Okay, that shit clearly snapping into your sleeve.
Yeah,
I heard
was
it.
about to
I
do
heard
Then you
it.
drop your shit down and you here it go.
It's stupid.
You feel me?
Man,
That's
shout out
it.
Mr. Baller.
Bitch, I'm gonna
goddamn.
fuck up the shit that I know I could do.
Shout out Mr. Baller, man. That shit was crazy, man. We're gonna check out some more, man. Let us know how y'all like it, man. We're gonna keep some more coming. Hey, let us know different types y'all want us to do, man. South Park compilations, Family Guy, all kinds of shit, man. We down to do whatever, man. Let us know what y'all want to see. Y'all be easy though, man. Hold it down. But make sure y'all hit that like, sub, and subscribe, man.
Already.
Done found out, man. I checked the shit out. How is 95% of our viewers not subscribed, man? Come on now. Make
Tell
sure
them
y'all
how to
show
find
some
you on
love.
Instagram and
Show us
other-
some love.
other
All that's
platforms.
down below, man. Check out the description, Instagram, all that stuff, man. I got yours down there below too as well, bro.
Already.
Check us out, buddy. Let's get it.
Yeah, I know it won't go last, so I had to chase it back. Became a man without a dad. I ain't mad, I'm just sad. Imagine.